Tracking? Yes, we are tracking. So, boys, welcome to another YouTube video, episode 3 of In the Grow Bag. Full day of eating today, and I do want to keep this like strictly as a full day of eating. I don't want to divulge into many other things. I want to focus this video around the meals, because last video, episode 2 of the series, would have been just like purely a training video meant for that full body session. I need to record the voiceover for that today, actually, that reminds me. So yeah, just going to stick to the meals today. Here, meal 1, already today I've had my Rise and Shine blood orange flavour, brilliant product, would recommend. I had my 10 grams creatine in that, and a gingerbread Nespresso pre-fasted cardio, 500 milligrams L-carnitine as well, pinned before that, and then done fasted cardio, 30 minutes, and we're into just a protein serving now. So 40 grams away in this, with about 300 mils of water. Ever since coming out of the diet, I've tapered that down from like 350 to like, I normally aim for like 275 in the creamy. And the reason this is just a protein only meal, get some cinnamon on your creamy as well, extra blood sugar control benefits. But yeah, the reason this is just a protein serving is, you know, come off cardio, blood sugar's already low. Let's keep pushing that boat out a little bit and keep the blood sugar low for quite a long time into a rest day. You know, food's not extremely high, so next meal, yogurt is still sort of trace carb. It's got a bit of trace carbs from the yogurt itself. That's like 3 grams per 100 grams, and then 100 grams of berries. But like, when it comes to staying lean, staying insulin sensitive, I think delaying your carbs is pivotal, to be honest. If food's not high, I think there's zero reason. Now listen, if food's not high and digestion is holding up well, so you're digesting your food really well, I don't think there's a need to spread your carbs out all throughout the day. I think you can go trace carb meal 1, maybe meal 2 as well on a rest day, which is what I'm doing, and then the final 3 meals have carbs. But gonna get stuck into this. We have TWP whey in it, gold bar flavour. It's like a caramel white chocolate, and it is pretty fucking good, to be honest. So yeah, creamy down to 3 times a week now, just on rest days. What a shame. But nah, I actually don't miss it, you know. I thought I'd miss the pint of ice cream on a training day, but I prefer getting like an extra whole food meal, because, you know, this creamy meal was replaced by like sourdough, eggs and salmon, with just the way the meal plan worked out. So I definitely prefer that side of things. Little mid-meal tie over, I guess. That's one thing. It's a white monster, by the way. That's one thing that I always get confused by. Guys in diets, like, struggling with food focus a lot, appetite's really high, and they're having like their caffeine servings with meals, like coffee with their meal 1, Monster with their pre-workout meal. And I think that's a bit like, you're doing yourself a disservice, I guess, because you can make your diet so much easier with using your caffeine sources and maybe like a flavoured water and stuff between meals, rather than having it with meals. If you follow me, you'll know what my stance is on fluids with meals. I think it's idiotic. You should be cutting them out like 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes, either side of meals, just so you're not diluting your stomach and actually letting your stomach work on that food before reintroducing fluid. You know, between meals is your opportunity to hydrate, not at the meal. But yeah, there's that point I wanted to touch upon, and then I also wanted to touch on your daily caffeine intake. WhatsApp has just booted up on my Mac for some reason. Have just sat down to do a bit of client work and edit part 2 of the series I talked about this morning, full body, that full body session. So hence the caffeine. And yes, it is a rest day for myself, so pretty much every day without fail I sort of want to get the white monster in the frame because it's so beautiful. But actually I'll do a taste test. We all know it's the most consistent flavour there is out of anything in the world, so I'm not expecting anything special. Oh, crisp. It's a crisp one. Some monsters definitely, like, you can get a 10 out of 10 monster. You can also get the same flavour and it be a 7 out of 10. Sometimes it's weird, but just sat down to do a few bits, and caffeine intake, that's what I was touching upon. Every day without fail, really, I'm doing 200 milligrams and a coffee. So that 200 milligrams comes through the form of a monster and a serving of Rise and Shine in the morning. Ideally, coming out of this diet, I did want to pull that down a little bit, but it's the way I approach my caffeine intake. It actually doesn't impact my sleep largely, but I would still like to pull it down a bit because, you know, parasympathetic tone is so important for your recovery. And if you're having stimulants constantly throughout the day and forming a high total load of stimulants going in through the day, you're never really giving yourself that chance to go into the rest and digest state. You're constantly sympathetically driven, you would say. So for me, I get that 200 milligrams and the coffee in within the first like 4 to 5 hours of my day. So say you're in bed 15 hours after you wake, there's 10 hours probably at minimum I have between my last caffeine serving of the day and going to bed. So that's going to have very little impact on my sleep. But even still, having that amount of caffeines, if we say the coffee is 100 to 150 milligrams, there's 300 to 350 milligrams of stimulants I'm using. There's a reason back in like old bodybuilding, or even now pro bodybuilders that are full-time bodybuilding, they just sit and, you know, watch TV and eat. You want to constantly be in this parasympathetic tone to recover from your training, because if you want to take your training volume and thus stimulus as far as possible and recover from the most you can, you have to focus on recovery, and your stimulant intake is going to be something you have to consider within that. You know, you can't be slamming a monster. On a rest day specifically, it is pointless slamming a caffeine serving at 3 p.m. Even if you're like, and your bedtime's maybe 9, like 8, 9, 10 p.m. You know, get the caffeine in early if you need it. And even if you're dragging a little bit on a rest day, when it comes into that afternoon period, you know, you're safer just gritting your teeth and getting through it, because the impact it might have on sleep, and then not actually gaining anything from the caffeine performance wise, since it is a rest day, it's just to the detriment of your recovery. But that is enough rambling. Going to crack on with a bit of work, client work. Got form feedback to go out, which actually takes quite a lot of time with how much detail I go into with my clients' form clips. You know, I don't voice note because I feel like the client needs to be able to go back and read the feedback rather than listen to a voice note. So it is paragraphs and paragraphs of each individual clip. What needs worked on? What should you be pressing more narrow, tuck those elbows, or is it simply a case of drumming in technique, like bracing methods, or is it trying to drive intensity through the client? Maybe intensity is quite subpar in their training, and we're just trying to work on that rather than like executions in a good spot, but we're leaving 3 reps in the tank. So enough ramble. I will see you at meal 2 for yogurt. So, White Monster has been consumed. That would mean it is time for meal number 2. Meal number 1 was 2.5 hours ago. So today I am spreading meals out 2 hours, 2.5 hours apart. So for this one, we have got some Faye yogurt, berries, walnuts, and peanut butter. I'm a big fan of this meal. It's 350 grams of Faye. I will have all of the ingredients and macros listed on the screen somewhere, but it digests unbelievably for being like so much yogurt. 350 grams, actually, it isn't a lot of food, to be fair, when you think of it. But a lot of people limit their yogurt portions to like 200 grams, and then they stick whey in the meal. And I was doing that for a little while, but then I realised, appetite's allowing it. Why have that third whey serving per day when I could simply do more yogurt in this meal and still get a good taste from this meal with this the little trick for yogurt I'll show you. It is absolutely revolutionary, this stuff. ESN flavor powder. You will actually not find a product with more efficacy in flavor in something. It's ridiculous. 3 grams of this stuff, so there's 3 grams. Mix your salt in as well. Remember, use this as a reminder to salt your meals even if they are sweet. The way I do my salt is I have a little tub, instead of like a grinder or something. I will simply zero the scales. That comes up 76 grams for the whole thing, and I want 2 grams for this meal, so I will lift out till 74, and boom, that is my yogurt getting flavoured. And that's what I do for all my meals. You might be able to see below, I am doing in the midst of meal prepping tomorrow. So here we have prawns and veg. This is training day meal prep going down. Prawns and veg, cream of rice is cooling down on the side. Chicken has finished in the air fryer, and we are just waiting on sweet potato later, but I'm gonna just cook the sweet potato when I have to have my own sweet potato meal for today, because I have that 440 grams of sweet potato going in on both days. Anyways, here is the final product. Shall get this in very rapid time. Looking forward to this one. Yes, boys, let me stick the mic on. You're right beside the frying pan right now. I'm being tracked, aren't I? I'm not being tracked. Good thing I checked. So, just dishing up meal 3. We have the favourite meal at the minute by a long shot, to be honest. Not a long shot. I love all of my meals. My oats are probably up there still with my favourite, but this salmon, sourdough and eggs meal is ridiculously good. Since I last spoke to you, I've been at Marks and Spencer's and picked up a few bits. I got a sourdough. The only reason I went to Marks and Spencer's was to get sourdough, because I knew, Marksies, this will be quality here. Getting sourdough from Marks and Spencer's. Look at the sourdough, and of course, it's got a fuck ton of ingredients, which I'm kind of annoyed about, but I've tried some and it's delicious. But when I'm buying a sourdough, I want like 5 ingredients. I don't want any extra oil or anything in that. So a little disappointed. The organic eggs I bought as well didn't even give me an orange yolk. So it was sort of a disappointing performance from Marxies. I say that as I shoved the sourdough into my face, but gonna dish this up and I shall show you the final product. And here we have it, the final product. If you can see here, I don't know how nicely the Osmo will reflect on my presentation, but absolutely perfected the eggs today. Who am I? Fresh berries in the last meal, in the yogurt meal, and going to Marxies for a shopping trip. That was actually like a little day out. I was mesmerized by so much stuff. I got like banana and maple peanut butter and some like flavored prawns, which I'm excited to try. But this meal is elite. I actually love it so much. I'm not a big fish guy, but now I've got prawns in my diet and smoked salmon. So they're like the 2 ways I find that I can get away or get around my like hatred for that fishy taste in something, because it's with bread and eggs, and then the prawns don't even taste that fishy. So good micronutrients there, healthy fats there. We'll have the totals for this meal going up on screen somewhere. I have some broccoli on the side. I do 125 grams of veg with this meal, just because I was originally pan frying like 25 grams of spinach, but no, it's like I just keep it raw. I don't eat I don't cook the spinach up. Just done like 10 grams on each bit of sourdough, and the broccoli on the side. Chopping board wanker in full force, but gonna get this in with some Stranger Things content. I'm on season 4 episode 8 of my rewatch. I'm absolutely loving it at the minute. Cannot wait for season 5 to get released. And yeah, let's eat. Meal number 4 time. We have what do you call those things? A fake away? Five Guys burger and fries going down. Just joking. We have lettuce, sweet potato chips, if you want to call them chips, and beef mince. So we've got our fries and the sweet potato. We've got our burger and the beef mince, and yeah, it's just not quite the same, is it though? But this meal did see a food increase. Yesterday, food increase went in 40 grams of carbs per day, because body weight is still below where we ended the diet. So that just went in through 200 grams of sweet potato in this meal. So an actual hefty amount of sweet potato, but it sits so well. You know, we think of potato as one of these voluminous food sources, but realistically it sits really, really well on a lot of people, and that's why you'll see in a lot of people's plans, you know, they can push upwards of 600-700 grams of raw weight potato in their meals. So yeah, it really is just about choosing foods that digest well with you. I will throw the totals, macros and ingredients on this of this meal on the screen right now. There's not too many direct fats in it, just from the beef mince, no oil to cook it in. It's just because food's not too high, only 55 fat on a rest day at the minute, and you know, that's with one meal being trace fat in the creamy. That is just pure whey and water. But going to dig into this because I have the cinema coming up in approximately 40 minutes, I think. Going to see Badlands Predator, I think it's called. Decent reviews, but not expecting like a world beating film. But hopefully it's something we can write home about, and it gets a decent review on Letterboxd. So gonna dig into this, and I will see you for meal 5. The esteemed, is that highly esteemed? I feel like esteemed was used in the right context there, but we'll say highly acclaimed, critically acclaimed bowl of oats. Boys, here we have it. Back in the living room for the big one. you might hear a little bit of food focus creeping in with this meal. So meal 5, pre-bed oats. I shall give them the respect they deserve. Give them the front camera. Look at that beauty. So to run you through the bowl, of course, rest day totals will be on the screen somewhere for this meal and for the day. Important to note, with this meal, all my health subs go down. So 6 caps of omega-3, 1 cap of vitamin D, 3 caps of Turbo Mag from Engineered Muscle, 1 Digest Pharma. I like just sometimes final meal. Make sure my GI is nice and clear for the next day. You know, that's the rationale behind having it in the final meal. You know, you're sort of setting yourself up for a good day of digestion, you know, not having any sort of, what's the term, food building up is essentially what I want to reference. I can't remember the actual term, but it's when food is being digested from the last meal going into the next meal. We don't want that. That's bad gut motility. But in this bowl, we have 75 grams of jumbo oats. That is cooked with 4-to-1 water. I think I'll sit down and run you through the oats. You can tell I'm in the living room, so it's time to switch off. Bit of Stranger Things to end the night. Can we get the oats in for you? No, we can't. But 75 grams of oats cooked with 4-to-1 water ratio. So that is 300 mils of water. We have 40 grams of whey, 20 grams mixed in, 20 grams as a paste. That is the TWP Gold Bar, same as the creamy this morning. Very good flavour. They do have a nice array of flavours on their website if you want to try out some. If you're fed up of the Naughty Boy and Perform standard ones, try some TWP. Then we go in with the 20 grams of dark chocolate, 100% Montezuma, 150 gram of berries, a healthy serving of glycine. That's coming up next. A healthy serving of nutmeg and cinnamon. I did mix my 10 grams of glycine as a pre-bed supplement into these oats just so I don't have to drink any fluid around this meal. Help digestion. And the whey paste on top. And I believe that is everything, folks. So that wraps up the full day of eating. I'm leaning into a little bit of food focus. I really look forward to all of my meals in this phase, and you know, appetite and readiness for meals is actually higher now on whatever my totals are compared to 1500 calories in the depths of the diet. I think once you introduce a carb source and a palatable carb source like that, a bowl like this with oats, whey paste, berries, dark chocolate, how can you not be looking forward to the meals? Even the sweet potato, that's a new addition. I really look forward to that meal. The sourdough and eggs, like, it's just that I love that meal so much. So that is part and parcel of the reason why my food is digesting so well at the minute, because I look forward to my meals. You know, maybe 10 minutes beforehand, that saliva starts kicking in. So that is eating the breakdown of these meals, and we want to stay in that phase for as long as possible. But I'm going to wrap up the video here because I do want to watch the Stranger Things finale and get to bed for 9 o'clock. It is currently 8:10 and we have a 6 a.m. wake in the morning. Went to the cinema, actually, I'll mention that. Predator Badlands, or Badlands Predator. Very good film, actually. Would recommend that over Begonia. So I will leave you on that movie recommendation, that cinema trip recommendation. And yeah, drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in episode 4 of the In the Grow Bag series.